Pierre Thomas, also known as P, is a music label executive, not to be confused with Master P from No Limit Records. P is the CEO of Quality Control Records, better known as QC. There are over 16 artists on the QC label as of December 2022, including Little Baby, City Girls, Little Yachty, and Migos. Kevin Lee, who goes by Coach K, has been in the music industry for over 15 years and only just started getting major recognition after he became the COO of QC Records. Before Quality Control became the premier label where Southern artists wanted to be at, it was hard times for P and Coach with pushing their label to the forefront. Back in 2004, Coach managed Young Jeezy, Gucci Mane, and Pastor Troy. It was during the Jeezy and Gucci beef that Gucci mentioned Coach in a record, rapping, "If I can't get you, then I'ma catch Coach." Later, Coach saw Gucci and cleared the air. After that, Gucci and Coach became associates and started doing business together. P's first venture in the music industry was with Dirty Dollar, a record label P created with his friend Dirty. P ventured off from that and created the label QC with Coach K. They are under a parent company, Capitol Records, that they partnered with. P met Coach through managing Gucci. Gucci is a very close friend of P's. They call themselves brothers. Under Coach's management, Gucci was sent to prison in 2014 for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. He served 2 years. That's when Coach partnered up with P. P had already built up his studio, but he didn't have artists. Coach K mentioned the Migos. The Migos were Gucci Mane's artists. However, Gucci was in no position to manage or break any artists because he was fighting charges of his own. Sidebar: it goes to show that Gucci learned his management style from Coach because Gucci's artist Pooh Shiesty also got a similar sentence back in 2021, and he is still in prison today, but at least he's alive. Sidebar: 1017 is the most recent name of Gucci's label. It's been called So Icy Entertainment, Brick Squad, and Eskimo. Either way, it was created by Gucci Mane in 2007. Coach is from Indianapolis, and he lived in Atlanta for over 20 years, while P is an Atlanta native, and the streets was all he ever knew until he decided to make a legitimate way for himself in order to provide for his kids. He proudly boasts that he sees his kids 4 times out of the week. P is the kind of dude that will be cool-natured despite not liking you. Piss him off and he becomes quiet. He'll nod his head, but just know that he's unraveling your career, stopping bags, all while letting you have it your way. Just ask Offset. Back in January 2021, P and Offset signed a deal for Offset to become a solo artist. Supposedly, Offset paid $10 million to exit his group Migos. You see, at the time, around 2011, 2012, Offset was in jail when Quavo and Takeoff agreed to sign with QC. Before the stint in jail, it was Gucci Mane's 1017 that had originally begun managing the group Migos. But consequently, Gucci Mane went to prison and gave QC the go-ahead to start managing Migos. So Offset wasn't really around to put his stamp of approval on things. Meanwhile, the ball was rolling. Once he got out, he had some disagreements with management and held it together for as long as he could until 2021. The reasoning behind that $10 million payout is because when Offset makes money as a solo artist, QC is not entitled to the money he earns. The money was to buy back the rights to his solo music. The deal was working out for a while. He dropped his song with his wife, Cardi B, Do Anything for Clout. But in 2022, the deal started falling apart with QC wanting rights to Offset's solo project, 54321. P doesn't mind if his artists checkmate each other. Cardi B, who is not signed to QC but is managed by QC, supposedly got Sweetie taken off the track with Glorilla. And the next thing we know, Cardi B is rapping alongside Gorilla in the 2022 song Tomorrow. Sweetie, who has dated Quavo from the Migos and is now featured in the QC-produced show based in Atlanta named The Impact, along with Jada Chavez, who is the baby mama, on-again, off-again girlfriend of QC rapper Lil Baby. Sweetie is heavily associated with the QC label, but she even saw her favor being diminished once she broke up with her long-term boyfriend Quavo and had rumors of her sleeping with Offset, Cardi B's husband. Both men are members of the rap trio Migos. P's disposition when it comes to his artists is very hands-on. He wants to see the artists go far. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is pressure on the artists, for sure. Just ask Lakeisha, the label's up-and-comer. She voiced her anxiety on the show The Impact. P understands that if he wants to be successful, his team must be supported. He believes in showing his team, including his artists, how to fish, meaning show them the business and how to leverage and collaborate with companies and other artists to become a brand. An artist by the name of Collision spoke so highly of P with statements like, he empowers people, and that's one hell of a guy. It's just more confirmation that P is a straight shooter. P is personally attached to all of his artists, and he wants the best for them, but it comes off as controlling. He has been in prison 3 times, and he knows the pitfalls. He can only warn his artists, but he ultimately holds the keys to career progression and the purse strings. This knowledge helped him to survive and become the heavy player in the music game. He simply took the skills he acquired from the streets and applied them to his business strategy in music. P being a street dude, it's odd that he's nice because, let's face it, the streets of Atlanta does not normally produce nice guys. In 2009, P's best friend got killed. His name was Quran Dennis. The two were both being shot at, and P survived. P and Coach came up with the logo for the name of the label. Coach pulled out his jeans pockets and the label of the jeans, and the first word that stuck out was control. The jeans were quality control. He pitched the idea to P, who was convinced. P had to check Joe Budden in 2017 for going hard on Lil Yachty, saying he was the poster boy of lame rappers. At the time, Lil Yachty was only 19 years old, trying to feed his family. Joe Budden stay hating on other rappers from QC. Let's not forget the left off bad and bougie moment at the BET Awards in 2017. Joe had a hit song called Pump It Up from 2003, and then he came back on the scene not for rapping, but for his relationship with model Tahiri. He then went on Love and Hip Hop and had a slew of girlfriends. Somehow he finessed a podcast out of it. So Joe's dream of becoming a career rapper never actualized. So maybe it's understandable as to why he would hate so hard on young rappers that achieved their success with longevity that he couldn't. Let's face it, at this point in his life, he is most likely to be in vlogs for his bedroom antics rather than his music. P went on to state in his Breakfast Club interview that these young guys, referring to his artists, are just chasing their dreams, and these 50-year-old men are downing them. It's like they want these young guys to trap only. 2 years ago, Migos dissed P for unfair business practices. Migos sued their attorney, Damian Granderson, for malpractice. They claim he cheated the group out of millions of dollars. The Migos insisted he failed to state the nature of his relationship with Quality Control Music and cited conflict of interest. For 18 months, QC was in a terrible label dispute with 300 Records. During this time, assets and accounts were frozen. QC wanted to move on from 300 Records to Capitol Records. P called the lawsuit from the Migos nonsense and responded to the Migos by stating that the problem he faced in the industry as a black man are people's jealousy, hate, division, and lack of communication.
Yeah. You know, when you independent, you going against, these major labels. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That way it be. But
one thing about it, man.
He goes on to state that, I am a student of this game, and I have watched several black labels get destroyed by the things I am facing right now. 2 years ago, P posted a video of himself talking to his mom while in the backyard planting flowers and plants. The two seem to be getting along great as he playfully questions why she is doing the planting. Apparently, they had hired a company to plant. At one point in the video, she begins to ramble on about the TV show Love and Hip Hop, to which Pierre listens but makes the "what is she talking about" with his face and eyes expressions. It would appear that his mom is into hip hop culture. She also seemed a bit controlling as well as slightly ungrateful, leaning towards entitled. P's mother spoke on the industry on November the 12th, 2022. Her heart was torn and she said she can't stand the industry. According to her, her son P told her, "Mama, your life over with," around the time Migos got their first Grammy. But the Migos never won a Grammy. They have been nominated for Best Rap Performance for Bad and Bougie, and nominated again for Best Rap Album Culture. Around 2017, P got his girlfriend Lyra Galore pregnant. A year later, Lyra claimed that P was physically abusive towards her. She has proof he dislocated her finger, took cars out of her name, he pays her to be silent. These are the allegations she put on him. Lyra demanded that he gets a psychiatric evaluation. It's hard to believe that Lyra wouldn't want her family, and those bruises that she suffered at his hands are very telling. It turns out Lyra's friend Kalar Will was dating P and got pregnant at the same exact time. This is evident in the fact that they gave birth 2 weeks apart. Lyra got with him, got engaged, got pregnant. She was then dumped. Lyra filed a $15 million lawsuit for her abuse and custody of her daughter. P accused Lyra of snorting cocaine while pregnant, having sex with other men, and plotting with her pimp. It's hard to believe that P would claim Lyra as his girlfriend, then fiancée turned baby mama, without checking to see if she had other men. As far as snorting coke, was it okay that she snorted with you before the pregnancy? In regards to her having a pimp, this woman stood by P's side through all his side chicks just for him to make out like she's a prostitute. The one thing Lyra was counting on from him was that he looked out for her. But in the end, he just showed her no mercy. This poor woman is completely traumatized by rich, powerful men in the hip-hop industry that fake propose only to take back rings and physically abuse. So yeah, she got her abortions, and who would want any lasting memories of being emotionally tormented in hopes of being loved and financially cared for? Even P's mom came out to speak about P's ruthlessness. She stated heavily that family can be your worst enemy. She said everybody has a choice to accept evil. It's not pushed on you. It's possible that P can be an excellent businessman and have terrible discipline in the women department. That is evident in the number of children he has by different women, his fractured relationship with his mother, and his ex-fiancée not only suing him, but demanding a psych eval. P lets it be known with the women signed to QC that he will put the money up, but they better deliver. Based on video clips, it does seem as if P blurs the lines of flirting, encouraging, and spoiling city girls JT and Young Miami. When asked how different it is working with women, like having women artists signed to QC, P hesitated, then shakes his head and laughs. He said, "Difficult dealing with females." He further exclaims while taking long pauses, shaking his head and smiling. He says, "Man, I don't even want to speak on how much money I spent." And when asked who the artist was, P responds, "Man, it's not even important anymore. Could she be Johnny Blaze?" It seems he goes harder for his male artists than his female artists, which makes sense as to why he would want to split the cost and maintenance of Young Miami's expenses with Puffy. Quality Control label is solidified. In 2019, Coach and P were awarded at the Culture Creator Awards. During acceptance speech, P talked about how Coach saved his life, because in 2013, P felt like he was going to die in the streets because he was not going back to jail. He had his studio with a few artists, but things were not going well. Coach had shared his vision and wanted to partner his connections and business savvy with P's raw street ambition to form QC. In the speech, he also thanked Ethiopia his Universal team, his Motown team, and he thanked Coach. It was a chance to see into his character and what he deemed important. He emphasized that helping and taking care of his family. He said that when you get an opportunity to get in position and help another person take care of their family, do it. And that's what the label is all about, giving his artists the platform to take care of their family. P spoke on moving from independent label to, quote, doing a deal, or having a parent company manage the overall business dealings from concerts, distribution, to litigations. P also stated that after seeing that it was him, Coach, Twin, and Jarrell making the label run smoothly and only meeting with 300 for the distribution, as their artists were growing and getting bigger, they needed more opportunities. It was to go to their next level. After taking meetings with major labels, they got plenty of no's. Only L.A. Reid with Epic Records was interested and sent over a contract, which was signed, but 3 days later the deal didn't happen because they were seen as problematic because of the litigation with 300 Records. You see, in the music industry, the players are well known and they all talk. So once you go to court, you are essentially on the red list or red flagged with all the companies, both smaller, independent, and major. So this hurt QC chances of being backed by a major label that would front the cost and put their artists on a bigger stage. It's evident that P was affectionate towards Takeoff, and he cared for him greatly. P stated back in 2018 in an interview with Tidal that one thing about Takeoff, his personality, his character, it never changed since the first day I met him. He don't even talk a lot. He just in his own zone. He do things how he want to do it. You know, you just have to let him be who he is. He the youngest one out the group, so he gonna grow into his own. So he gonna be how he is. He was dangerous to me, end quote. Hello good people, this is Avril Hatala, and I want to remind you that some things being shared in this video is under the Fair Use Copyright Act of 1976. The comments and opinion in this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only.